Wominjeka, welcome to the unveiling of Nova Peris's statue for equality in Federation Square. My name is Madeline Heyman-Reber. I'm a proud Gomeroi woman and journalist at 10 News First, Melbourne. I'm very honoured to be here today to be emceeing this event. I'd like to acknowledge that this event is taking place on the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And I'll just go through a little bit about what the Statues for Equality are. The founders of the global public art project Statues for Equality and internationally renowned Australian public artist Gillie and Marc Shatner, along with Dr. Jandamarra Cadd, a Yorta and Warung descendant, have created this 2.2 metre bronze statue celebrating one of Australia's most inspiring women of our time, Miss Nova Peris OAM OLY, to be unveiled today here at Federation Square. Gillie and Marc have seen a huge success with their launch of 10 statues of inspirational women on the iconic Avenue of the Americas in New York City. The launch was met with overwhelming support and applause. Globally covered by the press, it had more than 250 million unique visits in August alone. This global movement is on a mission to balance the gender and racial representation in public art and create tangible change one statue at a time, by creating everlasting bronze statues of some of the most inspirational women of our time. Statues for Equality honours women's contributions to society and spreads their inspiration to the world. The goal is to reach complete gender equality of public sculptures, so 50%, across the globe by 2025. Inspirational women are part of Australia's rich heritage. Throughout history, women from the nation's diverse cultures have fought for social justice, led change, made significant contributions during war, fostered advancements in medicine and science, and shaped industry, commerce, education, and government. Australian women have been at the forefront in media and the focus of the nation's admiration on the domestic and international field of sport. However, currently only 1% of statues in Melbourne represent women. The launch of Nova Peris's OAM OLY statue celebrates her incredible achievements and also represents a history-shaping moment for Australia. I'm sure all of you here know who Nova Peris is, but to run through a little bit of her history, Nova was the first Aboriginal Australian to win a gold medal in 1996 as a member of the Hockeyroos at the Atlanta Olympic Games. Nova followed Shirley Strickland, 1956, as the second Australian mother to win an Olympic gold medal. Born in 1971, Nova is a proud Territorian who from an early age was recognised as an outstanding hockey talent. Nova demonstrated blistering speed, agility and hockey smarts, skills she was renowned for on the international hockey stage. Nova Peris is one of few athletes who have represented their country in two different sports, successfully representing Australia in hockey and athletics at successive Olympic Games. Nova is the only athlete in Australia and the world to make back-to-back Summer Olympic Games finals in two different sports. Nova is also the only athlete to win Olympic and Commonwealth gold medals in two sports. Nova represented Australia for 13 years in sports, competing at 2 Olympics, 4 World Championships, 3 Champions Trophies, and the Commonwealth Games. On 7th of September 2013, Nova became Australia's first Aboriginal woman elected to federal parliament. Nova was sworn into federal parliament on the 12th of November 2013 and noted the apology to the stolen generation in her maiden speech. We have a number of different speakers today that will honour the incredible achievements of Nova Peris. However, before we get to them, we'd just like to run through a thank you to our sponsors who, without their generous contributions, the statue and this event would not be possible here today. So the statue sponsors include Gillie and Marc, the Caish Group of Companies, Plumbing and Pipe Trades Employees Union of Australia, the Rose Brothers, No Limit Boxing, CMFEU, The Long Walk, Anglicare Victoria and Balden Eugen, and event sponsors include Fed Square, Kofkin Bond & Co, Settlement Services Australia, Victorian Women's Trust, Australian Multicultural Foundation, Football Australia, Perpetual, Kokoro Consulting, the Moroccan Soup Kitchen, the Nova Peris Foundation, and a special thank you to Maria Demboulis for her tireless work to make today happen, plus all of the wonderful volunteers that put their hand up to help out with today's event. Just like to remind you all, if you haven't done so already, to please go and check in at the QR codes, which are just over there. And masks are to be worn if we enter a building, and the toilets are located behind the ice bar over there around the corner. Now like to introduce Earl Setches and John Setka from the Plumbers Union and CFMEU Plumbers Union to talk.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the land I'm standing on, past and present leaders of the Wurundjeri Nation, and it's Aboriginal land and always will be, and we're a guest here. First of all, I've got I've got two messages. One from John Setka, who couldn't make it. He's got a pretty good excuse. He's picking his wife up from hospital and he's got his two little kids with him. He said if he could drop by and stick his head in to give you a kiss, he said he would. But he's represented by Joel Shackleton, the Indigenous officer for the CFMU at the end there, where Joel's representing the CFMU. I've also got a message this morning from your old mate Bill Shorten, who said he couldn't make it. He's stuck in Tasmania and he wishes his diary could have been fixed because he would have loved to have been here to share this wonderful day with you. Where do I start with Nova? I mean, what was just read out then is just amazing. To be in the same paragraph as one of Australia's greatest athletes, and that fact there of 2 different gold medals in 2 different sports. Is that the only person in the world or something that's done that? It's something along them lines. It's amazing. But I just want to touch on Nova that I've known personally for the last 15 years after her wonderful athletic career. Nova's one of those people who, in one conversation, can change people's lives. And for me and my union, the CFMU, and I speak for the building unions, about 15 years ago, as trade unions, we support and sponsor all sorts of things, and throw our money on the table and be a sponsor. But the conversation Nova had with her great mate, who's not here, Michael, along with me, 15 years ago, challenged us about what we don't, with our influence that we have, that we don't do enough. And what are we doing for the young people of Aboriginal young people now? And out of that conversation, which she was really strong about, that we're not doing enough, just sponsoring here and there. So out of those conversations we created programs, and as I speak now, because of Nova and Longy, we have 35 Indigenous apprentices in Victoria alone in a program. I'd like to acknowledge Rob Hulls, who's sitting there, who was the Indigenous Minister, who helped seeding granting with some grants. And that would have been, how long ago? 12 years ago, Rob, probably? Well, we're still going strong, and we've got 30 to 35 apprentices. The CFMU the same, and creating real change. So when we wouldn't have done that and created hundreds of qualified plumbers, because Nova says to me, and I'll never forget it because I'm about to wrap up, she goes, especially you guys, she goes, our people live in, basic sanitation doesn't exist in some communities. And I'll never forget it. She said, there'd be a royal commission if it happened out the back of Bayswater or somewhere, if there was no hot water and sewer. But our Aboriginal communities, and plumbing is an integral part of that for basic sanitation and health. So Nova, you're an absolute inspiration. On behalf of Johnny, me and Joel, who's sitting over there, is keep pushing us. Keep pushing us, because we're scared of you. We are. There's also, I'd be remiss of me not to acknowledge the ex-Premier of the state in the audience too, with Jeff, with what he's done in his past. But Nova, it's been an absolute honour and a pleasure to have met you. And honestly, you are a great inspiration to everyone, and especially Aboriginal people, especially Aboriginal women, who look up to you. I mean, if we're scared of you, if the building unions are scared of you, you are somebody on this planet. So again, Nova, thanks very much for pushing us to where we are, and it's a pleasure to be here.
I'd now like to introduce a video from the Honourable Ken Wyatt, Minister for Indigenous Australians.
Let me start by acknowledging the Warung and Wurundjeri clans of the Kulin Nation, who are the custodians of the land on which this gathering takes place, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I also wanted to acknowledge the Gidja, Yawaru and Iwaitja people, and pay my respects to Nova's elders. In my West Australian Noongar language, I say Kaya Wanju, hello and welcome. I'm honoured to have been invited today to this event, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to be there in person to see this amazing statue be unveiled. recognising, honouring and celebrating the achievements of all members of our society is important. When I hear that women make up only 2 to 3% of public statues across the world, I'm reminded of how often women are overlooked. Statues for Equality is a practical and positive movement to rectify this imbalance. Statues for Equality are doing great work across the world to raise the public profile of inspiring women, particularly those from racially diverse backgrounds, by directly addressing the disparity that we see in our public spaces. Normalising successes of women in a public manner will take us towards equality, opening up opportunities for women in career paths, equal pay and recognition for accomplishments. I can't think of anyone more fitting than Nova Peris to be honoured this way. Young women, and here in Australia, young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women, can see themselves reflected in those we literally hold up on a pedestal. Her achievements and contributions in sport, politics and community welfare, and as an active campaigner for Indigenous rights and reconciliation, are something to which we should all aspire. The unveiling of this statue at the start of National Reconciliation Week is fitting with the goal of the reconciliation movement being a just, equitable and reconciled country. During Reconciliation Week and every other day, we should reflect on the richness that Aboriginal women bring to our society and celebrate their achievements. I hope this statue inspires people from all walks of life to strive for excellence in all they commit themselves to, just as Nova has done. Congratulations to Gillie and Marc Shatner, along with Dr. Jandamarra Cadd. I'm sure Nova is thrilled with this tribute. Thank you to the sponsors of the statue and of today's events, because this has been made possible. Statues of Equality only exists thanks to your generosity. It is a great moment in unveiling a statue of a great woman.
It's now a pleasure to introduce Stephen Hooker, OAM. He's an Australian former pole vaulter and Olympic gold medalist, representing the Australian Olympic Committee to talk. There you are.
Thank you. I too would like to acknowledge that we're standing on Wurundjeri land and to recognise the elders past and present. It's a pleasure to be here today. Inspiration. We've already heard the word a number of times. And as Olympians, you get the opportunity to inspire. Olympians inspire through their perseverance in the pursuit of excellence. Olympians may inspire for a moment. We're going to witness that in the next couple of weeks. Some of them, their efforts inspire for generations. And then there are some who break new ground and they change what people believe is possible. And that is what I truly believe Nova has done through her career. Nova became the first Indigenous Australian to win an Olympic gold medal when she was part of the hockey team in 1996. These are feats that will be repeated many times throughout today, and they deserve repetition and ongoing recognition. In doing so, she became the first mother that was a gold medalist for Australia since Shirley Strickland in 1956, an incredible effort. Only now, as a parent, do I appreciate how huge that is. To juggle those two things, incredible. Becoming an Olympian, winning gold, these are hard-won achievements. But then to change sport and to change to the most globally competitive sport in sprinting, this is inspiring courage. And to do that in 4 years where an entire country is watching you as you prepare for a home Olympic Games, truly inspired risk-taking, Nova. And didn't it pay off? Dual gold in KL in 1998. And to make an Olympic semi-final after being in Olympic sport for only 4 years is just incredible. And then to go on and compete in the 4x400 metre final and place 5th. Nova led off. Kathy anchored the team, and they set an Australian record with that run, and it's an Australian record that still stands today. Nova's athletics achievements have inspired 2 decades of Olympians, and I'm included in that. I remember in the lead up to 2000 seeing Nova and Daniel wandering around, and I was a young, fresh-eyed 18-year-old, and I was just blown away by them. But the games themselves can also inspire change. Let's think of another relay, a relay led off by Nova and anchored by Kathy, the Olympic torch relay. It put the focus on Indigenous Australians for all Australians. It changed our perspective back in 2000. It was an incredibly iconic moment. And this statue provides yet another milestone for Nova, a symbol and a focal point to inspire future generations. Speaking to Nova and listening on her reflections on the statue itself, the thing that struck me was that she was more focused on the land that she is standing on within the statue than the sporting accolades that sit above it. And that's got particular significance for me. I've loved working alongside Nova and the rest of the Indigenous Advisory Committee at the Australian Olympic Committee. You know, other amazing Olympians like Patrick Johnson and Kyle Vanderkuyp, who unfortunately can't be here today, but I'm sure they're celebrating with you today as well, Nova. The collaboration taught me personally that there is strength in acknowledging our shared history. There's an opportunity for us to walk together and work in the spirit of reconciliation when we were meant to meet here, Reconciliation Week and NAIDOC Week that we've just celebrated last week, that we can walk together and change the future of this country. And Olympians will continue to inspire change on that front. The 2020 Olympic team said the Australian Olympians' oath for the first time last week. The oath includes a line recognising our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and their ongoing connection to the continent, water and seas. This is part of now what it means to be an Australian Olympian. And our Australian Olympians will continue to inspire what it means to be Australian. The oath was co-written by Nova and her Indigenous Advisory Committee, so thank you for your work on that, Nova. It's going to be a lasting legacy for all Australian Olympians and all Australians. We're on the cusp of the potential announcement of a 2032 Olympic Games. What an amazing opportunity for us that we have lying ahead of us, where the work started or continued by Kathy and Nova back in 2000 can continue on to 2032, where we can ask ourselves, what sort of nation do we want to be by 2032? How do we acknowledge our shared histories? How do we celebrate those shared histories? And if we are fully engaged with this as a country by 2032, how amazing to share that with the rest of the world. When I spoke to Nova about what this statue meant to her, she said, it's an example of Black excellence. Such a powerful phrase. And in this week, how many amazing examples have we had of Black excellence? Ash Barty winning in Wimbledon, Paddy Mills being announced as the Australian flag bearer for the 2020 Olympic team, and this unveiling of Nova's statue. It's a statue that will continue to inspire future generations. Nova, on behalf of your fellow Olympians, congratulations on this honour. It's incredibly well-deserved, and it's going to continue to inspire many more to achievements of success and Black excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to now direct you to the screens behind me to watch a video message from Linda Burney, the Shadow Minister for Aboriginal Affairs.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to pay my respect to the Wurundjeri people, who are, of course, the traditional owners of parts of Melbourne. I want to particularly congratulate Nova Peris, a wonderful Australian, for the statue, but not just about the statue. It is about the life of Nova Peris. I know Nova. I used to rent a house off her and Scott back in Canberra, to be the first Aboriginal person to achieve a gold medal in Olympic Games, to change sports and excel at sprinting, and of course being the first Aboriginal woman or the first Aboriginal person from the Labor Party to be in the federal parliament. I remember that day so well. To you, Nova, personally, I am so happy for you. It's just such an achievement, and everyone involved should be congratulated in making sure that your statue is represented there in Federation Square in the amazing city of Melbourne. As the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians, as an Aboriginal woman and a member of the Labor Party, you make me so, so proud. It's a wonderful moment for you, a wonderful moment for the people of Melbourne, a wonderful moment for all of those involved in commemorating and remembering the achievements of Australian athletes. but also the achievement of those athletes like you, Nova, over your life. And I'm sure that that will continue. I am very, very proud and happy to be here to send this message to you, Nova, and to everyone today.
I'd now like to introduce Lisa Caruthers, OAM, three-time Olympian and two-time Olympic gold medalist and Hockeyroos teammate of Nova Peris. Hello. Well, I think we'll take one mic each, eh? So Lisa, you're a two-times Olympic gold medalist yourself and former teammate of Nova. You're both members of the Hockeyroos during the golden era. What can you tell me about your training and how hard it was, especially for Nova being the only mother?
So Noves and I had the legendary hockey coach Rick Charlesworth coaching us, and he's a tough bugger. And we would train twice a day on the pitch, yoga, weights, recovery, video analysis, shrinky sessions. So how she did that and be a mother was just unbelievable. And as Steve said, it wasn't until I became a mother did I then appreciate how difficult that was, being not only a elite sports person, but a superwoman as a mother as well. And so, she did an amazing job with Jessica. And I can tell you from many times we'd be out on the hockey pitch and Jessica would be running around up on the bank and there goes Noves across the pitch, threw a hockey stick down in the drain, up onto the hill, sorted Jessica out, opened up some food or whatever she needed, and then back on the pitch and looked after her. So, she was super mum, super athlete.
And Nova's Aboriginal heritage, what impact did that have on the Hockeyroos girls? She mentions that it was such an inclusive atmosphere to work in.
It was, and her Aboriginal heritage was amazing. She's such a great storyteller, and so she would just tell us these stories of her family and her home back in Darwin. And we were very lucky because we travelled to Darwin a lot to train because of the incredible climate up there. And so we spent a lot of time in Darwin where she could host us, and we met lots of her family and went out on trips and really got to understand the Aboriginal heritage up there for her. But not only that, Nova was just such a brilliant hockey player in our team, but she was so much fun, and she's naughty, and she's mischievous, and she was just someone who was great fun on a long plane trip to Europe or a bus trip around Europe. She was just such good fun. And when she left us and took up athletics, part of the soul of the Hockeyroos went with her, and we really missed her. And it was lovely in '98 in KL when she was running. We were in the village together, and she was our 17th member. She'd hang around with us a lot. And then, of course, at the Sydney Olympics, she was there with us as well. And so even though she wasn't on the field with us, she was there with us in spirit and in our rooms back in the village.
And people may not have realised that you toured South Africa in February 1994 during the apartheid. What are your recollections of that trip?
Oh, look, that was a tough trip. Coming out of apartheid, the Australian cricket team and the Australian women's hockey team were the first two allowed on the shores in South Africa. It was the first time I'd really seen racial segregation. It was difficult to watch. It was difficult for Nova to be the only black woman in our team, and therefore they, of course, had no black women in their team. They didn't really understand that. And for Nova to walk out as the captain and lead us onto the pitch was a bit of a shock to them. But at the same time, it really empowered us that, you know what, it's about equality and it's about respect. And that is something that Nova always shine a light on and brought us into to really, really believe in that. So thanks, Noves. Truly a huge honour today, and I'm just, so excited and emotional for you. So
Thank you, Lisa. I'd now like to introduce Carolyn Ralph, the CEO of Fed Square.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ralph. It is Carolyn, but no one calls me that. Well, welcome here today. I would also like to start by acknowledging that we gather here today on the lands of the Kulin Nations and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and to the Aboriginal elders that may well be with us from other communities today. I'd like to extend my very warm welcome to the distinguished guests here today, and of course, a very sincere congratulations to you, Nova. Long before Fed Square was built, the site on which we now stand was an important gathering place for the traditional owners of this land. For tens of thousands of years, the Kulin Nations came together on the banks of the river, and this history permeates the site to this day as a place of true gathering and celebration. We at Fed Square are incredibly proud to be hosting this statue for the period of time that it's with us. And it's not just a testament to the achievements of Nova and the influence that Nova has had on it, but a powerful statement on race and gender equality. This initiative, which sits at the intersection of sport and culture and community, is a perfect fit for Fed Square, the civic and cultural heart of Melbourne, and somewhere that boasts a kaleidoscope of experiences every single day. We look forward to many Melburnians and visitors paying a visit to the statue over the next few weeks to see Nova in bronze for themselves, and we look forward to welcoming them and all of you. Congratulations again, Nova, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll now get you to direct your attention to the screen behind me and to watch a video of Nova.
Away, so from the inside it's Twom, then Menza, Campbell, then the three Australians, Hewitt, Peris, Kneebone, Gainsford, Taylor, sailing in 7, Nasir in 8. Will it be Golden Gainsford? Melinda Gainsford, Taylor turns for home in front. Coming after her, Hewitt with Peris, Kneebone. Campbell making ground. Gainsford, Taylor in front. Hewitt and Peris, Kneebone come at her. Peris, Kneebone, Gainsford, Taylor, Peris, Kneebone. Nova Peris, Kneebone's won the gold. Campbell second, Hewitt third. Gainsford, Taylor has collapsed on the track. And Mr. Medal, it's Nova Peris, Kneebone taking the gold in the women's 200.
It's very, very close. I think you're right. I hope you're right. Unbelievable. And Melinda, obviously the knee just didn't stand up to it. She'll be absolutely devastated. I thought Hewitt was going to get there, and then I thought Campbell, and have a look at Nova Peris, Kneebone.
So Gainsford, Taylor in front. Campbell making the challenge with Hewitt. Peris, Kneebone still fourth at this point, but there's only, well, half a metre between the girls. Gainsford, Taylor in trouble here. Peris, Kneebone goes to Campbell and Hewitt. It's gold and bronze to Australia. Not what we expected. No Gainsford, Taylor in the placings. It's Peris, Kneebone with the gold.
There it is, and 2 100ths of a second. It's a personal best. How big is her heart, Nova Peris, Kneebone? She was making the biggest strides you'd ever see. And Amanda, we're blown away with that performance. Gold in hockey and now at the Commonwealth Games. Medal presentation now for the women's 200 metres. 2 Australians and Nova Peris, Kneebone taking the gold medal.
Well, David, we're not surprised there are 2 Australians there, but surprised that Melinda Gainsford Taylor's not one of them. But tremendous drama unfolded in the 200, Jane.
Yes, it did, and I'm sure that Melinda will probably look back on this and say, oh, well, if I couldn't win the medals, at least 2 of my teammates did. And Nova has made a fabulous transition from hockey to track and field.
John Smith's done well. He coached Atto Bolden to win the 100 metres in the men's, and now Nova Peris, Kneebone to win the 200. And Lauren Hewitt, we've forgotten about her a little bit. We shouldn't, because we're in a season's best of 22.83.
Of the Commonwealth Games Federation.
And Melinda Gainsford Taylor, who staggered and then collapsed across the line, amazing that she ran 23.
Okay, so I now want to introduce a video of Gillie and Marc, the Statues for Equality founders and sculpture artists.
Hi everyone, we are artists Gillie and Marc, and today is the proudest day of our lives. Sadly, we are unable to be there today for the unveiling, but of course we are there in spirit. We are standing next to our study for Nova, which we made just before we created the larger version. Statues for Equality, which we started 3 years ago in New York, is now honouring the truly inspirational Nova Peris right here in Melbourne. We would like to begin by thanking everyone who's made this sculpture possible, especially the woman of the hour, Nova, and to your husband, Scott, who supported us the entire way. We would like to thank an artist we deeply admire, Jandamarra Cadd. Jandamarra creates beautiful art that combines the stories of Aboriginal and mainstream Australia and was instrumental in bringing an Indigenous viewpoint. The base of the sculpture is his idea, and we will let Nova talk more about this later. We would also love to thank Federation Square for giving our statue such a wonderful home. Lastly, thank you to everyone who's given us support. Your love has shown us that together we can make a difference for women and gender equality.
Statues for Equality is a public art movement. It began in 2019 and it was aimed at balancing the gender ratio of public sculptures. Globally, only 4% represent real women. But it's not because there's been a shortage of inspiring trailblazers. We founded a movement aimed at reaching global parity for gendered sculptures and elevate female heroes to have their stories told. Their success is equally valued and their inspirations spread forever. Now Melbourne is joining the movement. There are 580 statues in this city, yet only 9 are of real women. That's 1.5%. Melbourne, so, is a city very, very close to my heart. It's where I was born, and I was shocked to see these stats. Gillie and I knew we needed to come and help represent the fierce women of Australia, and I feel so proud to work with Gillie and support all women through our art.
Nova Peris is a proud Indigenous woman who has broken through many glass ceilings in both politics and sports. We have depicted Nova in the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games, where she competed in the 400 metres. I am proud to be a female artist and to use my talent to support other women. What makes this statue so special is the collaboration with an Indigenous Australian artist for an Aboriginal woman. Statues for Equality is about unity and recognition, and this statue is an amazing example of true equality.
The unveiling is kickstarting Reconciliation Week. The theme for this year is more than a word. Reconciliation takes action, which couldn't be more perfect. Nova Peris is definitely more than just a word. We must all take inspiration from her and start this Reconciliation Week by reflecting on our own contributions, forming ourselves of doing more. And this fits so perfectly into Statues for Equality, a social movement designed to start conversations and change biases. There is no way we can win a global battle if we stand alone. So please, please join us.
I'd now like to invite Megan Vandenberg, Jandamarra's sister, up to say a few words.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Vandenberg and I am the sister of, it's funny to say it, Dr. Jandamarra Cadd. I sort of got the speech yesterday. Nova rang me yesterday, somebody else was meant to do this speech, and when Nova rings and asks you to do something, you do it. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're meeting on the land of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and acknowledge all Aboriginal people here today, and my elders, Auntie Pam and others that are in the group here today. I'm doing this speech on behalf of my brother, Dr. Jandamarra Cadd. He lives in Queensland, and he couldn't be here today. So I'll read his speech now, but actually before I do that, I do want to just acknowledge My brother lives up there in Queensland, lucky him, and we live down here in Melbourne. And this is a really special statue for us. Our mob congregates here after Reconciliation Week, the Long Walk March, after NAIDOC. This is a place where we congregate after our celebrations, and to have our community be able to congregate around this is really important, so thank you. I'd like to read his speech. So Janda is very honoured to be asked to share some words regarding the monumental statue of this very inspiring human being. These are his words, by the way. Big creative respect to Gillie and Marc for their absolutely amazing job of capturing and representing Nova. Also for their willingness and devotion and receptivity to work collaboratively with those around them and in bringing this piece to fruition. Janda received a phone call like Nova and like me when Nova rings a while back asking if he would be open to collaborate with Gillie and Marc on this. I think that decision is really a beautiful decision as well. Complementing the sculpture in ensuring that this piece was something that truly captured the essential elements from life, especially her connection to country and culture. And without hesitation, Janda said yes. Partly because he had an amazing experience and journey the year before, where he created 2 portraits of Nova. One of them being a painting that is hung permanently on the walls of Parliament House as part of the historical memorials collection, but mainly because he really respects and values Nova, who has done over her life so far to lift the quality of life of so many around her, either directly or through the work she continually does in the community. She is a solid role model for many First Nations and mainstream Australians. That is why, to Janda, this creation is far more than a statue, more than the clay that it is sculpted from or the bronze that comprises it. It is something of far greater value, something of defining moments of Nova's life when she won the gold at the Olympics, and also to be the first Aboriginal woman to enter Parliament, and as the first Aboriginal women senator, and the list goes on. As much as these beautiful, amazing moments in their own right, to Janda, they are more than that. It is all the moments in between, before and after all these, that really define her true value and worth in society. Janda feels the measure of how well our community or society is doing is not on how far we can run or climb individually, not on how much we have or how many abbreviations we have before our names, but more so the amount of value and care we place on our connections with our community, with our families, with our land, and with our spirituality. Where we see that these things are not separate and endeavour to place ourselves above the greater of life. Measuring our true successes on how we look at our most disadvantaged and how we can freely give our time to those at the end to ensure that we don't get left behind. And I think that's a very poignant time to say that message on behalf of Janda. One of Nova's sharing that Janda really loves and holds a special place within him. He also believes and speaks volumes that this is I don't do what I do to stand above others, rather I stand where I do to support and pull others and stand up together. So it is not merely wins and gold medals or that you get painted up and walk in the first step of Parliament, that it is that you take people along with you. Also to highlight these choices that Nova has made and have shaped the world that she is creating. So this statue is more than an image of a person, a woman, an inspirational leader. It's more than a statue that is highlighting Nova and what she has personally achieved. It's a symbol of humanity, our walking together, and the footprints of our ancestors. Janda is extremely honoured to be part of this monumental piece, that will stand as a testament for all those who gaze upon it, for now and for many, many generations to come. Janda sends his congratulations to you today, and to Scott and your family, and to the community more broadly. You know Janda, the way he finishes his messages: one heart, one people, one mob. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite Jack and Destiny, Nova's children, up to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jack Peris and I'm the son of Nova. However, to only call her my mother would be an understatement. She has been the greatest influence in my life, my role model, coach, best friend, carer, and simply the best mother I could ask for. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I followed her around everywhere for the past 17 years, to the point where I'm known as the mummy's boy and favourite child of the family. I've watched her speak and be a leading voice for Indigenous Australians and Australia as a whole for as long as I can remember, travelling across the whole country from remote communities to countless schools and Parliament House in front of the whole nation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch her sporting career unfold in front of me. However, I was able to watch something much more powerful. I watched a black mother of 3 children battle through some of the most daunting and traumatic challenges as a leading figure in politics and civil rights movements in order to be a leading voice for the voiceless and make a significant change within this country, which we should all strive for to create a unified future. In inspiration to all generations, she has constantly proved that nothing is impossible if you work hard enough. Taught me to be resilient, humble, persistent, and dedicate everything to achieve your aspirations. You've done the impossible many times before, as well as coach me, a skinny Aboriginal boy who came last at his first nationals, to 5 national titles and many state records. Watching her sporting highlights and constantly watching her speak, it reminds me every time not only how lucky I am to have her as a mother, but how lucky Australia is to have her as a leading figure. I'm very proud of you, Mum, and it's about time you're immortalised in bronze and recognised for your amazing, powerful, one-of-a-kind career that you continue to add to. I couldn't think of anyone more deserving.
Before I speak, on behalf of my brother and I just wanted to, as people like Iwaitja, Gidja and Yawaru people, would like to thank the Wurundjeri mob down here for taking care of this beautiful land for over 60,000 years so that we can stand here today and have this beautiful celebration. Mum's last international race was at the World Championships in 2001 when she was 4 months pregnant for me. Mum had me and then had Jack and moved on from her sporting career onto another passion. So yes, I was the end of Nova Peris' sporting career. Her other passion being voicing those who can't speak for themselves. I don't think this is something that Mum will ever stop doing. As I was not part of her sporting career, when I think about what my mother has achieved, I think about her advocacy work for First Nations mob. I wanted to talk briefly about 3 of my mum's achievements, which I know helped many people around Australia, as well as shaped the person I am today. So, firstly, Jack and I travelled with Mum to 104 rural and remote communities around Australia with the intention to promote healthy behaviours in young people when we were really young. This is achieved through conducting child health checks and encouraging locals to engage in physical activity. There was a mammoth effort across the course of 2 years. I was quite young, so I don't vividly remember a lot, but I do remember having my finger pricked to check my blood sugar and running around with local kids with orange slices for mouth guards. Secondly, Mum established the Nova Peris Girls Academy at several schools in Darwin. This was founded to encourage girls to attend their classes, to provide them with experiences they wouldn't have dreamt about prior to the academy, like meeting the Governor-General and travelling interstate for sport, and to teach them life skills, which you're not taught in school. A lot of the girls in the academy became big sisters to me, and I had the pleasure of being involved in most of the activities with the academy arranged for the girls. And lastly, Mum became the first Aboriginal woman in federal parliament. I was at boarding school at Canberra Girls Grammar for one of her 3 years in parliament, and during her sittings I would run the 8-ish 100 metres up to Parliament House in the morning, go through security with my own Parliament House ID card as an 11-year-old thinking I was really cool, like a boss, to say g'day before I went to school. I'm currently studying nursing at university, and a major inspiration for this degree choice was the travelling throughout rural and remote communities when I was young. Knowing that there is such a vast disparity between the health of my people and that of non-Indigenous Australians is really disheartening, and I realised that I can minimise that gap at the forefront like my mum did. I also mentor the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander girls at my old school and a nearby school in Sydney as work. Even as a 10, 11-year-old, I saw the effect my mother's mentoring had on the girls in her academy, and I realised that support from people who are able to empathise with you through similar lived experiences is invaluable and inspires the best in the mentee. Also, even now, post her political career, Mum is an ambassador for so many First Nations projects and organisations. Like, it's always on the phone talking to someone else. I've adopted this nature of wanting to help my people and taking on all that I can do to do so. I realise now that I've learnt so much from watching Mum do the things that she's passionate about and enjoys, and seeing how that impacts others' lives. To be here with Mum and with all of you who have come to support her on this day, where she's been immortalised in bronze, is indescribable. Her statue notably inspires young women of marginalised backgrounds to realise that what is considered impossible can be achieved. As well as this, Mum's statue is a physical representation of the impact she has already had in people's hearts and in others' minds. I was thinking before when I was watching all this stuff, like, obviously I know all my mum's achievements and I've seen it, what she's done. But I never really realised, like, she's actually a trailblazer. And I remember I was doing, in year 10, had an Oz history assignment on the civil rights movement in America. And being the product of two Olympians, I chose athletes' impact on the civil rights movement as my question. And I'm talking to Mum, like, oh, who should I do? And I was doing, like, Wilma Rudolph, and, I did all the 1968 Olympics, like Peter Norman, Tommy Smith, Johnny Carlos. And I was like, what do I say? And she's like, use the word trailblazer. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, go look in the dictionary. But obviously that's what Mum is. She's the first of many things and has really paved the way for a lot of people, not only young Indigenous girls, who have big dreams, but Australians in general. So I love you, Mum, and I'm very proud to be here.
Thank you. So now is the moment everyone's been waiting for. We're going to head upstairs to the front of the Koori Heritage Trust in Federation Square for the statue unveiling. There are stairs over there, or you can walk all the way around, but it's probably quicker to go use the stairs.